Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really massive, completely unavoidable clash that basically defines the world we live in right now. On one side, you have the unstoppable engine of industrial expansion, the thing creating all our modern economic wealth. But on the other side, our delicate, life-sustaining natural ecosystems. So how exactly does our constant, relentless drive for economic growth actively destroy the very planet we're living on? Well, we're going to break down the mechanics of this environmental degradation step by step using the direct facts from our source material. Let's get into it.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the paradox of growth, then look at pollution and wastes, ecosystem destruction, the global warming climax, and finally, wrap up with a sustainable path forward.
All right, Section 1, the paradox of growth, the hidden costs of industry.
To really wrap our heads around this, we first need to define a super important concept, natural capital. Basically, this is the entire stock of our natural resources and our environment. We're talking about our mineral reserves, the fish in our oceans, our sprawling forests, and even just the fundamental quality of the air we breathe. Now, here's the kicker. This natural capital is the absolute foundational bedrock of all development. If we run out of these raw materials, the factories literally grind to a halt. And yet, this foundation is exactly what's under the most severe threat.
So step 1 in this whole degradation process is the rapid depletion of natural resources. There are two massive drivers working here. First, our industrial mass production requires an absolutely insane amount of raw materials, which is just draining our limited, non-renewable minerals. And second, we have explosive population growth. More people means a massive demand for more agricultural products, which pushes us to constantly convert wild spaces into cultivated land. It's like we're draining our life savings just to pay for our daily coffee.
Let's move on to Section 2, pollution and wastes, the toxic byproducts.
Step 2 brings us to water pollution. When you take pristine natural river water and dump industrial waste into it, heavy metals, toxic chemicals, all that runoff, the results are just devastating. It's not just about the water looking murky or smelling awful. It literally makes it entirely unfit for drinking, bathing, or even washing. And the human cost here is brutal. This contaminated water directly causes waterborne diseases like diarrhea, which tragically hits children and impoverished communities the hardest. Plus, it doesn't just sit on the surface. That toxic seepage is actively poisoning our underground groundwater reserves too.
Next up, step 3, air pollution. Think about the air you're breathing right now. Rapid urban economic growth brings all those industries, thermal power plants, and millions upon millions of vehicles. And they are just pumping massive emissions into our atmosphere. Carbon monoxides, nitrogen oxides, sulfur oxides, you name it. The source points out that these pollutants don't just mess with the environment, they settle right into our lungs. This unchecked pollution is a primary driver behind severe respiratory diseases like asthma and even cancer. We are quite literally choking on our own economic success.
And then for step 4, we have the sheer volume of solid and hazardous wastes. Because of urbanization and population growth, our cities are churning out thousands of tons of waste every single day. Organic, domestic, industrial, commercial, it's a mountain of trash. And since our collection and disposal systems are often totally inadequate, this waste just sits there. It stews, it breeds disease, and as it breaks down, those nasty toxins leach right into the soil, polluting our groundwater all over again.
Okay, Section 3, ecosystem destruction, altering the landscape.
Step 5 is soil erosion. Now, we often just think of soil as dirt, right? But that fertile topsoil layer is everything. When land gets mismanaged, heavy rains simply wash that vital topsoil away. And once it's gone, the land basically becomes useless for vegetation, which obviously tanks our agricultural productivity. But check out this crazy chain reaction. All that washed away soil has to go somewhere. It ends up causing siltation in our dams and tanks, literally clogging them up and heavily reducing their capacity for irrigation. It's this huge, destructive domino effect, which ties directly into step 6, deforestation. When we chop down vital forests to make room for agriculture, we completely shatter the local ecological balance. Clearing all those trees causes immediate soil erosion and flooding. But it goes way deeper. It actually disrupts the hydrological cycle. It changes the moisture levels in the air and soil, which actually lowers overall rainfall. Oh, and by removing the very trees that absorb carbon, we're triggering a massive spike in greenhouse gases.
Step 7 looks at modern agriculture's heavy reliance on chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Sure, they boost crop yields, but at a huge cost. These toxic chemicals don't just magically disappear. they creep directly into the human food chain through the very crops we eat, creating severe health hazards. At the same time, the runoff from these chemicals inflicts terrible ecological damage on wildlife, birds, and fish stocks. So we're basically poisoning our food and our ecosystems just to grow things faster.
This brings us to step 8, the loss of biodiversity. Millions of years of evolution have built the ecosystems that give us food, medicine, and raw materials, and human activity is tearing it down. We're clearing out incredibly rich tropical rainforests and overfishing the oceans, which heavily depletes our marine food supplies. And here is a wildly specific, tragic fact from the source. In India, they are actively clearing out vital coastal mangroves just to build luxury resorts and spots for aquatic sports. That directly threatens incredibly fragile habitats, including the home of the iconic Bengal tiger. No way around it, that's just a tough pill to swallow.
All right, Section 4, the global warming climax, the ultimate threat. I want to pause here and ask you guys to really think about this for a second. What is the ultimate global cost of all this indiscriminate industrialization? When you add up the deforestation, the toxic runoff, the emissions, what does that final bill actually look like? Step 9 is the answer. It's global warming. This is the increase in the Earth's average global temperature. It's the direct, undeniable result of all that pollution pumping greenhouse gases, especially carbon dioxide, into our atmosphere. Those gases act exactly like a giant blanket, trapping the sun's heat. This is the exact moment where all that local pollution we just talked about transforms into a global atmospheric crisis.
And the global fallout from this warming? It's staggering. We're seeing glaciers rapidly melting across the Himalayas, the Alps, and retreating in Mongolia. And it's not just about losing snow. These glaciers are the primary water supply for places like Western China, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. On top of that, warming causes rising sea levels, leading to permanent coastal flooding and massive population displacement. It's forcing a major redistribution of species, driving extinctions, and severely threatening our global food security.
So, is it all doom and gloom? Let's look at Section 5, a sustainable path forward, strategies for survival. The absolute core of the fix here is sustainable development. By definition, this means development that meets our needs today without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs tomorrow. Practically, it means we cannot extract renewable resources faster than they can naturally bounce back, and we absolutely have to minimize how much we exploit non-renewable resources. So how do we actually pull that off? The source gives us a few very clear strategies. Number 1, we have to focus on the active replenishment of resources. Number 2, we need to rapidly scale up eco-friendly tech, solar power, wind energy, and cleaner fuels like CNG instead of standard petrol and diesel. Number 3, shifting to organic farming, using biocompost and plant-based pest controls so we stop poisoning our soil. And finally, expanding public transport, like the metro systems, to get cars off the road and cut down that urban air pollution. These aren't pipe dreams. They are real, actionable ways to take the pressure off our natural capital.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this really powerful quote straight from the text. The stock of natural resources and quality of environment are common heritage for all generations. This is absolutely crucial, guys. This isn't just about economic efficiency. It's an ethical compulsion. We have a fundamental moral duty to make sure that the generations coming after us have the exact same access to clean water, a healthy environment, and rich biodiversity that we've had.
And that leads us perfectly to one final provocative question for this explainer. Will we finally start treating environmental degradation as the true cost of development before it's too late? As our source implies, if the money we make is completely offset by the damage done to our health and our planet, is it really development at all? It's a massive shift in perspective, but it's one we absolutely need to make. Thanks for sticking with me through this deep dive, guys. Keep asking the tough questions, and I'll see you next time.